أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير آمين يا رب العالمين.
In this lecture, we will continue the study of prepositional phrases or murakkab-e-jari. Let us revise what we studied about murakkab-e-jari in the first part. Kalima is a meaningful word in Arabic, and a kalima will either be ism, fail, or harf. We started our study of harf, which brings us to murakkab-e-jari or prepositional phrase. There are some huroof in Arabic grammar that come before an ism and they make that ism majrur. Such huroof are called huroof-e-jarrah. A murakkab-e-jari or prepositional phrase will have a harf-e-jar which will be followed by a majrur ism, and this ism is majrur because of harf-e-jar preceding it. There are a total of 17 huroof-e-jarrah in Arabic grammar, and we will inshallah be studying up to 11 of these huroof-e-jarrah which are commonly used in the Holy Quran. The first 5 huroof-e-jarrah are each comprised of a single harf, and we started the study of these 5 huroof-e-jarrah. We studied the first 3, which are ba harf-e-jar, which means with, ta harf-e-jar, which means to swear or to make an oath, and waw harf-e-jar, which also means to swear or to make an oath. Please note that these 5 huroof-e-jarrah that are each comprised of a single harf are not the same as huroof-ul-hija, and there are certain important points to note. First of all, each harf-e-jar will be written in the same way as it is written in the huroof-ul-hija chart. For example, ba is written the same way here as it is written in the huroof-ul-hija chart. Huroof-ul-hija have no meaning. They are meaningless. However, each harf-e-jar will have a meaning. For example, ba harf-e-jar means with. In huroof-ul-hija, each harf can have any harakat assigned to it. Each harf in huroof-ul-hija can be assigned zair, zabar, pesh, sukoon depending on how it is used in the word. In the case of huroof-e-jarrah, each harf-e-jar will have one fixed harakat. Ba harf-e-jar will always have zair under it. Ta harf-e-jar will always have zabar on it. Waw harf-e-jar will always have zabar on it. Finally, the combination of Arabic alphabets, that is huroof-ul-hija and harakat, make kalima or word. Huroof-ul-hija can be either at the start, middle, or end of a word. Each harf-e-jar is a complete word or kalima by itself. So this is a complete kalima, this is a complete kalima, and this is a complete kalima. And each harf-e-jar will have its own meaning, and it will always be found at the start of the murakkab-e-jari. Let us study some examples from Surah Al-Fil. If we look at the first ayah, towards the end we see bi ashabil fili. If we pay more attention, ashabil fili is a murakkab-e-izafi or possessive phrase. Why? Because ashabi meets criteria for it to be mudaf. We do not see al at the beginning and we do not see a tanween at the end. Furthermore, al-fili meets criteria for it to be mudaf ilayh because it is majrur. The addition of ba harf-e-jar at the beginning will make this a murakkab-e-jari or prepositional phrase. Taken together, bi ashabil fili can be translated to with the people of the elephant. Now, if we look at the last ayah and we focus at the end, we have ka'asfim ma'kulin. If we focus on asfin and ma'kulin, we can see that they are equal in number, gender, status, and capacity. And immediately that should alert us to this being a murakkab-e-tawsifi or descriptive phrase. Asfin means straw, which is mawsoof in this case, and ma'kulin means eaten up or chewed up, which is the sifat. Sifat is following the mawsoof and they are equal in number, gender, capacity, and status. Therefore, asfin ma'kulin is a murakkab-e-tawsifi or descriptive phrase. We will also notice at the beginning that we have this kaf with a zabar on it. This is our next harf-e-jar that we will be studying. This is kaf harf-e-jar and it means like. Taken together, ka'asfin ma'kulin can be translated to like eaten up straw. If we pay further attention, we have kaf harf-e-jar at the beginning of the murakkab and it is immediately followed by an ism which is Majrur. Let us continue with the study of kaf harf-e-jar. So to our list of huroof Jarrah that are comprised of a single harf, we have ba harf-e-jar, which means with, ta harf-e-jar, which means to swear or to make an oath, waw harf-e-jar, which also means to swear or to make an oath, and now we have kaf harf-e-jar, which means like or similar to. Ba harf-e-jar will be identified with the fixed harkat of zair underneath it. Ta harf-e-jar will be identified by the fixed harkat of zabar on it. Similarly, waw harf-e-jar will have the fixed harkat of zabar on it, and kaf harf-e-jar will have the fixed harkat of zabar on it. An example of the use of kaf harf-e-jar is kal ma'i, which means like water or similar to water. Here we have kaf harf-e-jar at the beginning of the murakkab and it is followed by al-ma'i, which means water, and we will notice that it is majrur or in the jar status. There are some examples of use of kaf harf-e-jar from the Holy Quran as well. In Surah number 101, ayah 4 and 5, we see the use of kal farashi, which can be translated to like moths. The entire ayah is translated to it is the day when people will be like moths, dispersed, referring to the day of judgment. In the next ayah, we have kal ihni, which can be translated to like wool. And the ayah is translated as, and the mountains will be like wool fluffed up. The next harf-e-jar is Laam harf-e-jar. This will be written in the same way as Laam is written in Huroof al-Hijab. However, Laam harf-e-jar will have a fixed harkat underneath it, which is zair underneath Laam harf-e-jar. Laam harf-e-jar is a harf. It will therefore be included in kalima and it will have a meaning of its own. And the meaning of Laam harf-e-jar is for. Laam harf-e-jar is the last of the huroof Jarrah list that are comprised each of a single harf. Ba harf-e-jar, ta harf-e-jar, waw harf-e-jar, kaf harf-e-jar, and Laam harf-e-jar. An example of Laam harf-e-jar is lillahi, for Allah. Laam harf-e-jar is at the beginning and it is followed by an ism that is majrur. Please note that this particular style of writing Laam harf-e-jar is grammatically correct. However, in the Arabic text, and in the Holy Quran, Laam harf jar will be written according to a particular style. In Surah Al-Fatiha, we have Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. In this case, Lillahi is written in a unique style, and we will see this style of writing in the Holy Quran. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen can be translated to all praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds. So the literal translation of Lillahi is for Allah. And the meaning of for is coming from the Laam harf jar, which is the reason why we see Ism Allahi in Majrur form. We will be studying Laam in several different forms throughout this course. If we recall from the 6th lecture, one version of Laam that we studied was what we called Laamut Tarif. Laamut Tarif is used to convert an indefinite ism into a definite ism. We had the example of Kitab, and when we added Laamut Tarif to it, we had something of this form, which meant the book. This was difficult to pronounce, so we took the help of Hamzatul Wasl to make Al-Kitab. But in reality, it is this Laamut Tarif which is making the indefinite ism into definite ism. Laamut Tarif will be identified as Laam with sukoon on it. So we have two Laams. One is Laam with the sukoon on it, which we have used already as Laamut Tarif. The other is Laam with Zair underneath it. This Zair is fixed, and this is Laam Jarrah or Laam harf jar. So let us look at the differences between Laamut Tarif and Laam harf jar or Laam Jarrah. This Laam will always have Zair under it. So Laam Jarrah will always have a fixed harakat of Zair. Laamut Tarif will always have sukoon on it. Laam Jarrah will always make the ism following it Majrur because it is a harf jar. In contrast, Laamut Tarif is used to make an ism definite from indefinite. Finally, Laam Jarrah or Laam harf jar will impact the status of the ism following it, meaning it will make the ism that comes after it Majrur. Laamut Tarif has no such effect. It has no effect on the status of the ism following it. Let us study examples of the use of Laam harf jar in combination with different asma, and also see how it is written in the Arabic text. In the following examples, we have Laam harf jar in combination with Al-Mu'minu, Al-Mu'minani, Al-Mu'minuna. Please note that Al-Mu'minu is marfu or in the rafa status. Al-Mu'minani is also marfu or in the rafa status because of the ani ending sound, and Al-Mu'minuna is also marfu or in rafa status because of the una ending sound. So let us see what happens after we add Laam harf jar to Al-Mu'minu, Al-Mu'minani and Al-Mu'minuna. We will have Lil-Mu'mini, Lil-Mu'minaini, Lil-Mu'minina. Laam harf jar plus Al-Mu'minu will make Al-Mu'minu into Al-Mu'mini. So the marfu ism is being converted into Majrur ism because of the presence of Laam harf jar at the beginning of the Murakkab Jari. Similarly, Al-Mu'minani is being converted into Al-Mu'minaini. Ani, Aini. We studied that Ani ending sound indicates Rafa status and Aini ending sound will indicate Nasab or Jar status. Al-Mu'minuna, because of the presence of Laam harf jar, will be converted into Al-Mu'minina. Una, ina. Una ending sound indicates rafa status. Ina ending sound will indicate nasab or jar status. So we have lil mu'mini, lil mu'minaini, lil mu'minina. However, if we were to look at these three in the Arabic text, we will see them written as lil mu'mini, lil mu'minaini, lil mu'minina. We will notice in these examples that while we are pronouncing lil mu'mini the same way as lil mu'mini here, but we are not writing the hamzatul wasl that was coming after lam harf jar. And that is the style that is adopted in the Arabic text. So, in these examples, hamzatul wasl will not be included in the written form. The hamzatul wasl that was coming after lam harf jar is not written in the case of lil mu'mini, lil mu'minaini, lil mu'minina. An example from the Holy Quran, from Surah Al-Baqarah, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. So here we have lil muttaqina. We are not writing hamzatul wasl after lam ijara. Please also note that after lam ijara we have al muttaqina. Ina ending sound indicates jar status, and lil muttaqina can be translated as for the God-fearing. The meaning of for is coming from this lam harf jar at the beginning of lil muttaqina. And this lam harf jar is making al muttaqina majrur, and in the written text we do not see hamzatul wasl being written after lam ijara. Please note that in the first 5 huroof ijara that are each comprised of a single harf, 2 of the huroof ijara can be used with pronouns. These are ba harf jar and lam harf jar. Ba harf jar and lam harf jar can be used with pronouns. Since harf jar will make the ism that follows it majrur, the pronouns that will be used with lam harf jar and ba harf jar will be the majrur pronouns. Therefore, we will need to revisit the table of majrur pronouns that we studied earlier. We studied personal pronouns or zamair in the rafa status or in the first form of ism, and we studied personal pronouns or zamair in the third form of ism or in the jar status. In the rafa status, the personal pronouns are as follows: huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. The personal pronouns or zamair in the jar status are as follows: hu, huma, hum, ha, huma, hunna, ka, kuma, kum, ki, kuma, kunna, ya, na. The personal pronouns in majrur form can also be called attached pronouns. Whenever the pronouns in the jar status are seen in the Arabic text, they will always be in the form of attached pronouns. We further studied some specific rules about hu. If hu is preceded by zabar or pesh, it will be read and written as hu, meaning it will have an inverted pesh on top of it. For example, baytuhu. It is written in this form because it is preceded by ta with pesh on it. If hu is preceded by zair, it will be read and written as he, meaning that we will have the alphabet ha and there will be a zair, a vertical zair underneath it. For example, baytihi. If hu is preceded by ya with a sukoon on it, it will be read and written as he. An example from Surah Al-Baqarah where we see fihi. And finally, in all other cases, hu will be written and read in its original form. There are also some rules for huma, hum, and hunna. In the third person section of the chart, we can see huma, hum, and hunna. If any of these three is preceded by ya with sukoon on it, or it is preceded by zair, then they will be written and read as hima, him, or hinna. So huma will be written as hima, hum will be written as him, hunna will be written as hinna if any of these is preceded by zair or it is preceded by ya with a sukoon on it. Let us do some practice and use ba harf jar with majrur personal pronouns. Here we see that since we are using majrur personal pronouns, all of them are appearing as attached personal pronouns. We will start with bihi, which means with him or with it. Please note that in this case, we could have written bihu following this chart, but as we studied previously, if hu is preceded by zair, then we will not say bihu, but we will write it and pronounce it as bihi, with ha having a vertical zair underneath it. Bihima, with them referring to dual and masculine. Bihim, with them. Biha, with her or with it, referring to the feminine gender. Bihima, with them, referring to dual, feminine gender. Bihinna, with them, referring to the feminine gender. Now coming to the second person section. Bika, with you. Bikuma, with you too. Bikum, with you, referring to masculine and plural. Biki, with you. Bikuma, with you too. Bikunna, with you, referring to plural and feminine. Be, with me, and this is applicable both to masculine and feminine gender. Please note that as we previously studied, this ya, which will either be ya with a sukoon on it or ya with zabar on it, this ya will only accept zair before it. So in this case, ba harf jar already has zair underneath it, so we will have be. Be means with me. Finally, bina, which means with us. In this table, we can clearly see that the meaning of with is coming from ba harf jar, which means with, and it is followed by majrur personal pronouns. We are using the majrur personal pronouns because after harf jar, the ism that follows it will be majrur. In the English language, there's a difference in the use of his versus him, its versus it, your versus you, my versus me, our versus us, and so on. When we studied majrur personal pronouns, we started with the study of the following table. Hu, huma, hum. Ha, huma, hunna. Ka, kuma, kum. Ki, kuma, kunna. Ya, na. These are all majrur personal pronouns. These are all attached personal pronouns. We first studied the use of these attached personal pronouns as mudaf ilay in murakkab izafi. And now we are studying the use of these attached personal pronouns in murakkab jari after harf jar. When used as mudaf ilay in possessive phrase, majrur personal pronouns indicate possession or belonging using his, her, its, your, my, our. For example, kitabuhu, his book. Kitabuhuma, their book, referring to dual and masculine. Kitabuki, your book. Kitabuna, our book. So in this table, the attached personal pronouns are being used as mudaf ilay, and they bring out the meaning of his, her, their, your, our, and my. In contrast, when Majrur personal pronouns are used in murakkab jari, when they are used with Huroof Jarrah in prepositional phrase, Majrur personal pronouns bring out the meaning of him, her, it, you, me, us. So instead of his in this case, we have the meaning of him in this case. Her will stay the same in both cases. Its versus it, your versus you, my versus me, our versus us. For example, bihi, with him or with it. Here we will not say with his, that will be incorrect in the English grammar. So the correct translation will be with him. Similarly, bika, with you. We are not saying with your, as that will be again incorrect in the English language. So the correct translation will be with you. Bina, with us. Be, with me. If we say with my, that will be incorrect. Therefore, it is important to note that when Majrur personal pronouns are used as mudaf ilay in murakkab izafi, they will typically bring out the meaning of his, her, its, your, my, our. However, when they are used in murakkab jari, they will bring out the meaning of him, her, it, you, me, and us. There is an important rule that we need to know about Laam Jarrah. Laam Jarrah is typically written like this. We have Laam and there is the fixed harakat of Zair underneath it. However, when Laam Jarrah is used with pronouns, instead of Zair, it will have Zabar on it. So, it will be written as Laam with Zabar on it. Once again, when Laam Jarrah is used with pronouns, it will have Zabar on it and it will be written like this. For example, if we want to say for Zaid, we can simply say li Zaidin. In this case, we are using Laam Jarrah in its original form. We have Laam with a Zair underneath it, and Zaidin is an ism that follows it and it is Majrur. But if we want to replace Zaidin with a pronoun, we will end up with lahu. We are not saying lihu, but we are saying lahu. In this case, since Laam Jarrah is being used with a pronoun, we are using this version of Laam Jarrah that has a zabar on it. Lahu means for him. Let us do some practice of Laam harf jar with Majrur personal pronouns. For the third person group, we have lahu, which means for him or for it. Lahuma, for them. Lahum, for them, referring to plural and masculine. Laha, for her or for it. Lahuma, for them, referring to dual and feminine. Lahunna, referring to feminine and plural. Please note that in all these examples, we are not using Laam with Zair on it, but because Laam harf jar is being used with personal pronouns, we are using Laam with Zabar on it. In the second person category, Laka, for you. Lakuma, for you too. Lakum, for you, referring to plural masculine. Laki, for you. Lakuma, for you too. Lakunna, for you, plural and feminine. In the first person category, for singular column, we have li or liya. In either case, it means for me, which is applicable both to masculine and feminine gender. Please note that we already know that this ya will only accept zair before it. So, in this case, we have Laam harf jar with zair underneath it, and we get two options. We get the option of Laam harf jar with zair underneath it followed by ya with sukoon on it, which is li, or the other option is Laam harf jar with zair underneath it followed by ya with zabar on it, which is liya. Both li and liya have the same meaning, that is for me, and both can be used and they imply the same meaning. There are several examples in the Holy Quran. We have an example from Surah number 109, ayah number 6. Lakum dinukum waliya dini. So here we see the use of liya. Liya means for me, and the ayah can be translated as for you is your faith and for me my faith. Liya means for me, and we can also see the use of lakum here, which we can also identify in our chart. Lakum means for you, referring to masculine and plural. This is our table of personal pronouns or zamair in the jar status or majrur personal pronouns. Please note that in Arabic grammar, majrur personal pronouns are only used in two instances. There are only two cases in the entire Arabic grammar where we will use majrur personal pronouns. Number one, we will use majrur personal pronouns as mudaf ilay in murakkab izafi or possessive phrase. And number two, we will use majrur personal pronouns following huroof Jarrah. We have now completed the study of the first 5 huroof Jarrah, which are each comprised of a single harf. These are ba harf jar, ta harf jar, waw harf jar, kaf harf jar, and lam harf jar. Our next harf jar is fi. Fi is not comprised of a single harf. The meaning of fi is in. There are several examples of fi that are commonly used in the Arabic text. For example, fil Qur'ani, which means in the Quran. If we notice, fi is the harf jar and it is followed by an ism which is majrur. Al-Qur'ani is majrur. Fi sabilillahi. Fi is the harf jar and the ism that follows it is majrur. Fi sabilillahi means in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fi amanillahi, to be in the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. An example from the Holy Quran, Surah number 97, Ayah 1. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadri. Fi in this ayah is used for the meaning of in. The ayah can be translated as we have sent it, the Quran, down in the night of Qadr. Fi is the harf jar here, which is followed by an ism, laylati, which is majrur. Previously we studied that ba harf jar can be used with pronouns, lam harf jar can be used with pronouns. Similarly, fi can also be used with pronouns. We will use fi as harf jar with majrur personal pronouns. In the third person category, we will start with fihi. Fihi means in him or in it. Please note again that we are saying and writing fihi rather than fihu, because we studied that if hu is preceded by ya with sukoon on it, then that hu will be written as he, which will involve ha with zair underneath it. Fihi. Fihima, meaning in them, referring to dual and masculine. Please note that we are saying and writing fihima rather than fihuma. We studied that in the case of huma, hum and hunna, if they are preceded by ya with a sukoon on it, then we will write and pronounce them as hima, him and hinna. So here we will have fihima, fihim, fihinna, fiha, in her or in it, fihima, in them, referring to dual and feminine, fihinna, in them, referring to feminine and plural. Fika, in you. Fikuma, in you too. Fikum, in you, referring to masculine and plural. Fiki, in you. Fikuma, in you too. Fikunna, in you, referring to feminine and plural. Fiya, in me, and this is for both masculine and feminine gender. Please note that in this case, the ya with sukoon on it of fi is coming next to another ya. So we have fi with ya with zabar on it, which becomes fiya, and the two ya together is indicated by the shad on fiya. Finally, fina, in us. The next two huroof jarrah that we will study them together. An and min. The meaning of both an and min is from. We will start with an example from the Holy Quran. In Surah number 63, ayah number 9, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O believers, do not let your wealth or your children divert you from the remembrance of Allah. For whoever does so, it is they who are the true losers. In this ayah, the meaning of from comes from this harf jar, an. And after an, we will immediately see an ism that is Majrur. Zikri is Majrur because it follows a harf jar which is an. We will now study an important rule of written text and pronunciation. We will take the example of an plus al-fahsha. Al-fahsha means immorality. We previously studied that in the Arabic text, when we are reading the text in continuation, the Hamzatul Wasl has its zabar removed from it and it is not pronounced. So if we are reading the text in this direction, we will need to remove the zabar from Hamzatul Wasl so that the pronunciation can become fluent. So this creates the following situation. Now we have an and it is followed by al-fahsha, but in order to read it fluently, we will need to remove the zabar from Hamzatul Wasl. In this situation, we have the noon on an, which has sukoon on it, which is coming next to the Laam al-Tarif of al-fahsha, which also has sukoon on it, and this makes the pronunciation difficult. To overcome this, we have the following rule. In a situation where the last harf of a word has a sukoon on it, for example, in the case of an, the last harf has a sukoon on it, and it is followed by a word which has sukoon on its first harf. For example, an is followed by al-fahsha, where the first harf is Laam tarif and that also has sukoon on it, meaning when we have a situation where two sukoon come next to each other, in such a case or in such a situation, the sukoon on the last harf of the first word, meaning the sukoon on the last harf of the first word, which is an in this case, is replaced by zair, and then the text is written and read accordingly. So, an plus al-fahsha will become anil fahsha'i. We are replacing the sukoon on an with zair in order to make the pronunciation easy, and in addition, like we studied previously, the hamzatul wasl will not have the zabar on it. So rather than saying an al-fahsha, we will say anil fahsha'i. An example from the Holy Quran, Surah number 29, ayah number 45. Surely Salah restrains one from immorality and evil acts. From immorality is coming from anil fahsha'i. In this case, the meaning of from is coming from an, and the harf jar is making the ism following it majrur. Next, we will study examples of min, which also means from. Min Makkata, from Makkah. Min is the harf jar and it is followed by an ism that is majrur. Makkata is majrur. We are not saying Makkati because we studied that Makkah is a ghair munsarif ism. The names of cities and countries are ghair munsarif, and a ghair munsarif ism will not accept zair in the jar status. Now, if we want to say min plus al-madinati, this creates a similar situation to what we studied in the last slide. We have the noon of min with sukoon on it, and it is followed by lam with sukoon on it. So now again, sukoon is coming next to sukoon. So if we apply the previous rule, we should be saying minil madinati, but that is not the case. What we will actually be writing will be minal madinati, meaning from Medina. Why are we using zabar in this case on min? This is an exception. This is an exception to the rule of writing and reading the Arabic text when two sukoon come next to each other. In the example of an, we had replaced the sukoon on noon with zair, and we had said anil fahsha'i. But in the case of min, when one sukoon comes next to another, we are saying minal madinati. So the sukoon on min is being replaced by zabar. When min is followed by a word that has a sukoon on its first harf, such as in this case, then the sukoon on min will be replaced by zabar to become mina. Examples include minas sama'i, from the sky. Here, this is representing the harf jar, and as-sama'i is majrur. Minal ardi, from the earth.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.